In terms of getting through a list, I'm not sure that's actually possible. And I know that even when I do eliminate some of the superfluous stuff from my schedule that doesn't need to be there, I'm really focused on my social media. I'll get to the end of the day and there's just this sense of, man, like there should have been so much more done. And I don't really have any measuring stick for what would have been the appropriate amount of work to get done. But I have spoken to a number of people who have shared the same sentiment that even when they're really focused on eliminating the excess and even thinking about going down to a 4-day work week, there's some mental residue which seems to hang around and makes it more difficult than they're used to. Mm-hmm. Have you experienced that? And how do you sort of encourage people who have this experience to navigate that new challenge that comes up?
You know, it is what you're talking about is decades of muscle memory that have built up through schooling, through professional education, through, our first jobs where sort of we were told, where we were either told explicitly or saw through example that the way to get ahead was to burn the midnight oil, be the first one in, the last one out, that success these days doesn't come from, clocking your hours, paying your dues and moving slowly up the ladder, but is something that happens, sort of quickly when you're young, when you're able to make big sacrifices, and that's got to happen before your technical skills or your knowledge become obsolete, right? It turns into a kind of arms race against burnout. And so, everybody coming into a 4-day week has this set of cultural presumptions and just literally physical habits that, that they need to kind of unwind or sort of unlearn. And I think that, that a couple of the keys, part of it is just time, right? Giving new habits time to form and settle and sort of become your new default. Part of it, I think, also is, sort of for me, when, one of the big discoveries that I made sort of a few years ago when I was writing Rest was that, that was a big project, right? Every book is a big undertaking, 80,000 words, 12-month deadline, and there's always something else that you can do to make this paragraph or chapter or manuscript just a little bit better. And it's really hard to resist that. And I think that that for me, where I landed was that I felt my best when I was able to work several really focused hours per day, so that by the end of the day, I really felt like, I'd kind of left it all on the field. But second, I think recognizing that we live in a world in which the to-do list is infinite, right? You are never finished with everything because the world just keeps piling more stuff sort of on your plate. People keep, sort of putting things on your calendar, etc. There is always more that can be done. And I think that that the thing that I have had to cultivate, and which the companies that I work with work hard to figure out, is sort of figuring out how to zero in on the things that absolutely matter the most, the things that they have to get done, developing the routines and the boundaries that allow them to focus really hard on those things so that they can make progress in a steady manner day after day. And, and accept that, in essence, have the faith that this method will pay off over the course of months, even if it sometimes feels like, you really want to get it all done today. Mm-hmm. I have seen working that way, myself. It took me 10 years to finish my first book, working the way that I just described, right? In this much more sustainable manner. I've been able to write 3 books in 10 years. And so For me, those results speak for themselves. And I think for, the organizations that I've worked with, thinking about how to sort of focus in on the things that matter most to build routines and guardrails and boundaries that that concentrate attention and time on just those things, eliminate other stuff, and just trust in the process and give those practices time to become familiar, to become habituated. That's what you got to do, which I know is easy to say, but a lot harder to do. It's like, eat right and exercise. And yet there are giant industries for doing both.